those of you who are hesitant to create content, I understand why you're hesitant because you don't want to look like a TikTok dancer or a trend follower. And I completely understand that and empathize with that. It is good to feel that because that means you're a unique artist with a unique identity and you want the world to understand that identity. We need more artists like that because there are a lot of microwave artists out here, a lot of microwave music making what everybody else wants to hear and we're tired of it. So this is actually a great time for people like you. But if you get caught behind not wanting to look like a certain artist or look a certain way, the people that need you will not find you if you're not fitting in the right format. Remember earlier I said there's 220 different formats, so don't let that feel like you have to fit in a certain box. There's a lot of different boxes to choose from, but you have to pick a box that gives the people what they want and you'll get what you want. But that doesn't mean you have to compromise who you are and your art. So the artists that I see do the best are the ones that don't compromise what they believe in and don't compromise their art. They just figure out what type of packaging their art needs to fit in to reach the right people. And you have to be open to that process because it oftentimes looks different than what you initially thought it would.
Hey, how are you though?
Man, I'm really, really excited. Oh, am I still? I'm good. I'm really excited to be here, man. Excited to chop it up with you. I'm excited to hear more about what you guys do as well, and just to provide some value in any way I can, man. I appreciate you guys reaching out.
Hell yeah, of course. Yeah, I've personally been seeing your content for a while and just taking like advice and tips from the things that you've been saying and definitely wanted to definitely been implementing the things within my career as well because just a little bit about what UD is. It's a essentially it's a artist development series that I started because I'm an artist and I never really had I never felt that it was enough development or like platforms to help artists like grow and get to a bigger standpoint. So I wanted to start that and started underground developmental with that and do different things, not just performances, but different elements like say like with content and just like helping like with the branding and marketing with the artist to actually learn those elements. And that's why a big reason I wanted to have like people like you who help artists just learn how to actually grow themselves um, beyond the platform to speak to them directly because we have a big community of creatives and just want to help them actually learn how to grow themselves as well. So definitely with the content that you make and the advice that you give, I think it would be very like beneficial as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great, man. It seems like a perfect synergistic type of conversation. I'm excited to get into it.
Hell yeah. So I just wanted to get started by just seeing who you were, like how did you get into making music? What do you do as a creative, and just like overall, just background about you.
Yeah, man. So hello, I'm Nehemiah Wilson. I have the pleasure and privilege of running SBN Studios. We are dedicated to eradicating the starving artist stigma. That's our big lofty goal. What does that mean tangibly? Basically, I just at this moment shoot content for artists. I also do content strategy, which is the main thing that I'm passionate about and the main bread and butter of what we do. And we create content about how to make better content for people. And that's probably where most people have seen me or my face or heard about SBN or the orange color. We're on Instagram and we just create content for independent musicians and also musicians that are signed to learn how to build an audience for their music without having to do the all the TikTok dance type of stuff, you know?
Hell
So
yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's definitely a big thing because a lot of creatives don't want to like get into the like I feel like are shied away with the content because they don't want to make things that they feel like are like cringy or like don't want to make like be like a TikTok artist or whatever. So I think that definitely shies it away. But I like how you put in your content that um like you make the content how you like it and you make it how it doesn't make you feel like oh you know you wish you didn't make it or whatever. So I like how you make it in your way with your stuff as well.
I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just to get into the music part as well, I've been making music since college, just on and off as a hobby. I don't really do it professionally or seriously right now. It's just something I'm doing just to support what we do at SBN and just to kind of lead by example, if that makes sense. Just to
Hmm.
have music to be like, okay, I can shoot content to this, just to show you how you can do it. The music is just something I do for fun. It's not anything I'm taking super seriously at the moment. SBN is my baby and my priority, and what I'm mainly focused on right now. But making music has helped me step on the other side of the camera just to help empathize and understand what it truly is like to make music and try to put yourself out there.
Yeah. So what got you into, how did you start up S SBN? How did you start that up?
Yeah, so I am 24 years old. I came down to Atlanta at 17 to go to college. I went to college at Georgia Tech, Georgia Institute of Technology in 2018, and I graduated in 2022 with a degree in computational media, which is basically computer science with liberal arts. So I did like left brain, right brain type of degree. I worked at Google as a software engineer for three
Nice.
summers in a row as an intern, and then I got a full-time job for 6 months before I left. I left because one, I didn't want to do it. And two, I made a promise to myself that once my SBN brand got to a point where it could make the money I was making at Google, I would leave.
Mm-hmm.
So that moment came in 2022, the end of 2022, when I worked with Foggy Raw. He's an artist, he's a poet. He's very lyrical with his music, and we had a set of videos, three in a row, go viral, and that got him a record deal and allowed me to generate enough revenue from my business to leave my job and to do this full time. And from college until that point of going viral, I had been running around Atlanta, taking photos at whatever music event I could, taking photos of my friends on campus, of my fiance or girlfriend at the time, just really enjoying the craft of creating visual art. And I never thought that it would turn into what it is now. I could never envision that it would be this. But since a kid, before I even believed in myself, I always saw something of a career in the creative space from when I was a kid. So it just kind of built from a hobby to something I got paid for here and there to something I started taking really seriously and growing to my full-time job.
Nice. So what came, did the videography came before the you making music?
Yeah, it did. And I think just naturally being around musicians, I just have that personality where it's like, I could do that too.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about me. I think it's ego, and I'm trying to work through that because it's actually working to my detriment now of making me spread myself too thin. I've been really trying to hone in on what I'm really good at and what I feel like God has gifted me to do, which is the content, visual art, storytelling type of stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I just naturally have a knack for wanting to learn stuff that interests me. I've always been like that as a kid. And music, just naturally being around it, I just wanted to try it. And I tried it and enjoyed it and just have been doing it since.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dope. I feel like a lot of people who work around music always end up kind of trying to make it or like work like in it in some kind of way, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, how is the how is that transformation of going from the actually getting from behind the camera to in front of the camera?
It was uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. It was uncomfortable at first, but I had always been in front of the camera before I started making music. I've been making videos on the internet for 10 years. I made Minecraft videos as a kid.
Mm,
I was homeschooled in the suburbs, so everybody was playing Minecraft and Roblox and all that. I was a super nerd. I just loved being in the house on my computer, doing whatever on my computer. And I was making Minecraft videos and I was shooting them, editing them, posting them on YouTube. And then when I got a little bit older, I did more vlog style type content talking about my faith as a Christian and just like doubts I was having and stuff that wasn't making sense, which was kind of, it wasn't controversial, but it was very honest for someone who went to church and was talking about how I didn't believe it. And I was just trying to figure it out.
mm.
So I was used to like being vulnerable in front of a camera from an age. And then when I got to the music part of it, that's when it really started to get uncomfortable because I was doing something I wasn't as secure in. Like I was used to talking about myself. Sorry, I'm outside right now. I don't know if you heard that.
That's okay.
Um, Used to being vulnerable in front of the camera, talking about my life, but when it came to music and something I wasn't good at, trying to do that and be good at it in public was very uncomfortable.
Mm,
So I just, started like all of us, I'm sure have started trying to figure out content, just setting the camera up and performing your song and posting it. And that's what I did in college. I started with doing rap challenges or like open verses, and I would post those. And then I started doing original stuff. And just from there, I just got more comfortable doing it. But it was very uncomfortable at first. It still is uncomfortable in a lot of ways because I don't think I've got my reps in. I definitely haven't got my 10,000 hours in. But yeah, that's kind of been an experience of transitioning between.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool to transition from like behind to in front of the camera. So, do you feel like the behind the camera is where the like the true passion like really lies from within you?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I really enjoy being behind the camera. I don't know what it is, but I just love the problem solving. Like it all feels like a game. Growing up, I played a lot of video games as a kid, and just that satisfaction of pushing forward toward a goal and working really hard and trying to solve problems within the game is a very satisfying process to me, more so than like I think artistic expression, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So I get more of that on this back side of the camera than I do on the front. The front is cool because I get to tell my story and have people relate to what I've been through and kind of encourage people and help them through what they've been through. But I think where I get my real sense of fulfillment from is that problem solving that comes from, okay, this artist got 0 followers or has 1,000 followers. How do we take them to 10,000, to 50,000 through content? And that's just such a fun process for me.
Yeah, that's dope. What's Where did you first start seeing traction when you were building? Because I know you say you were working with another artist as well, and you that's when you were able to stop working a regular job and start doing that full time, the actual artistry career. So when did you start seeing traction to where you could get to the point where you could do that full time?
Yeah. I want to preface this by saying it took 7 years to go viral. So I want to make that very clear because people always say it takes, I don't know, 10 years to become an overnight success. That was my story. I didn't just happen to stumble across a viral video, but I also wasn't looking for it. That's also important. It's not like it took me 7 years to figure out the formula to going viral. I still don't think that there's a definitive formula. There are things that you can follow to increase your chances, and I'd like to share some of those things today because I think they'd be very helpful.
Absolutely.
But it took me 7 years of creating videos on the internet to get to the point of having that viral moment with Foggy Raw.
Mm.
But that moment, it was the breaking point that allowed me to say, okay, let me take the leap and do this full time and figure it out. And that gave me enough financial runway to pay my bills, to get the business to a point where I could have a client base that's regular enough to, cover my overhead so I can save every month and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, that's the quick version. We can get into whatever you'd like to, but
Yeah, what were you what did you do with you said it was called Foggy Raw?
yeah, that's the artist name.
Oh, that's the artist name. Okay, okay. So, what did you guys do that was different from what you were doing previously in the last 7 years that made it take off?
Yeah, great question. People ask me this all the time because that's probably our best work. Well, I don't want to say our best work, but definitely our most viral work to date. The thing that I really think took that video from being, you know, another video that people just scrolled past to being one of the most popular videos that people still will come up to me in certain spaces and be like, bro, that video is the hook,
Mhm.
the retention, and the payoff. What is so important for social media is watch time and stopping the scroll. Those are the two most important metrics. If I'll have to pick between one of them, I'll say watch time is the most important. Why? Because these platforms make money from our attention, and they're going to push creators that are good at grabbing and holding people's attention. That's fundamentally what every artist needs to understand. Shadow banning doesn't exist. Being Instagram jail doesn't exist. If you're not growing, your content just sucks. That's the harsh truth. My content sucked until 2 weeks ago. I'm not gonna lie. There are some things that I've had that have popped off, like our 444 formula for creating content. That's one of I think, our most successful videos on the Instagram page. But all the other ones get like just a few thousand views, which is low for us. And once I started getting serious about hooking people's attention, holding it, and satisfying them at the end, That's when our videos really started to take off. So the last 3 videos that have gone up on our page have done probably 10 times the views because I've implemented this stuff and it's possible for every artist. So how does that work with artists? That works for like people that are making content and teaching people stuff, but how do we apply that to artists themselves? So Foggy Raw with the Waffle House video, I don't know if you've seen that, but it's basically a video where there's a dark-skinned dude in a Waffle House, and the first line is, "Could we go back to being friends after we have dated?" So hearing that is an audio hook, an
Mm-hmm.
auditory hook, or a verbal hook, we can say. The visual hook is it's a dark-skinned dude. He's pretty good looking, according to the comments, and that was no shade. That was no shade. That is what people are saying in the comments. And the color grade is very, very warm, so it's very inviting. We're also paying homage to Alicia Keys' "You Don't Know My Name," that song. He sampled that song and wrote a verse over it, and we shot it in a Waffle House because the original music video was shot in a diner. So all these things are working together to pull people in and be like, oh, this feels familiar. It feels nostalgic, but it's new. So we have that verbal hook. We have the visual hook. There's no textual hook because there's nothing on the screen. It's just a video. But that draws people in to be like, oh, what's going on here? Let me see what's about to happen. As we go through the song, he's basically talking about being in an awkward relationship situation where like we dated before, but we're trying to be friends now. We've been intimate, and he's describing these things. So it's very relatable from a relationship standpoint. But the video itself goes from a very close shot to his face and slowly dollies out to expanding the world that we're seeing. So we see he's in a Waffle House. There's people in the back working on the grill. But we see that as we zoom out, he's performing this verse as he's supposed to be taking these people order in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy and a girl sitting at a table. They're clearly on a date. But the guy, Foggy Raw, the artist, is talking to the girl the whole time over the shoulder of her date. So he's basically spitting game to this girl through the song over the guy's shoulder, being mad disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time, the guy is not seeing any of this. But the girl sitting across from the Foggy Raw, the artist, is into Foggy Raw the whole time. But the guy doesn't notice because they're trying to like figure out what to order. So the camera kind of just goes back and forth between, and we're on the edge of our seat waiting to see how this guy is going to react. What is he going to do when he realizes that this guy behind him is hitting on this girl when he's supposed to be taking his order at Waffle House, right? We get to the end of the video, and he finally realizes that they've been talking, and he kind of just gives a look back and then back to the girl, and he's like, just kind of throws his hands up, like, bro, you can't even take no girls out these days and be safe. Like, anybody's up for grabs type stuff. So it's just kind of a relatable scenario to people that have been trying to date in the modern world.
Yeah.
And that video kind of just blew up. And that was 3 years ago.
Mm.
It's 2025? So yeah, 3 years ago. Almost 2.5 years. During a time where we hadn't really seen stories told like this on Instagram. A lot of people promoting their music was, I'm still posting the album art. I'm posting a snippet of the song. And some people might have been posting snippets of their music videos on Reels, but nobody had been storytelling in that way and taking the traditional music video format onto the short form platform. So I didn't know it at the time, but what we were doing was hooking people into the storyline, keeping them around to want to see what happened at the end, and then giving them a really satisfying feeling at the end of the video. And that took the video out. And we did all of that in a visual format. So where if you don't speak English, you can still understand what's happening.
Mm.
Which is why it went from regional virality to worldwide. And if you look at the numbers, they speak for themselves across all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
That's really dope. Yeah, no, that I didn't even think of that as well. Like the not having the text hook kind of gives you more of the ability to go more viral within different countries. But no, I love that as well because that's something that I love within the content, like making something going from a long form video content to making that into the video and having some kind of something there that has depth and something there that's more than just kind of quoting what you said in one of the previous videos, not just performing to the camera, but something that's more engaging and something that can gain more people's attention rather than just like standing stationary and singing a song. So I think
Yeah.
that's definitely dope. So what? So you said that was 3 years ago. So what has changed from then to now to where you said like you were making content that wasn't working, but now you're making content that's been working. Is that does that same formula work, or has it changed at all from the last 3 years?
Phenomenal question. You're 2 for 2 right now, sir. What I'm telling you guys about today will never change. And it won't change because it's not based on fleeting tactics or trends. It's based on timeless storytelling principles that can be seen throughout all storytelling history.
Mhm.
When it comes to writing, when it comes to orating, speaking, right? When it comes to performing in the theater, film, music, and now short form content. What is the common thread between all these things that keeps our attention? Because that's what we're doing at the end of the day when we storytell. We're storytelling at the end of the day through all of our content. And fundamentally, storytelling is getting people's attention, holding them until the end of the story, and giving them a satisfying feeling at the end. That's why we go to the movies. And when you go to the movies and the movie sucks because it didn't meet our expectations of what we wanted at the end of the movie.
Mhm.
Now, there are some exceptions because there's satisfying ways to twist stories at the end and make it still feel satisfying. I'm not talking about what we expected the story to end up as, but the feeling we were expecting to have at the end, whether relief, sadness, happiness, whatever, right? So, this whole format of hooking people, keeping their attention, and satisfying and paying off is something that is timeless. And if you look at all types of storytelling, it's the reason why we read our favorite books. It's the reason why we watch our favorite plays and films. It's the reason why we watch a 30-second video all the way through versus another one on Instagram. And posting performance videos of just putting your lyrics on the screen and performing your song is not doing that. An analogy I like to use is on Saturday mornings when we were kids, we would get our favorite bowl of cereal, 11 a.m., pour some milk in it, maybe not if you're lactose. Just sit in front of the TV. You'd have your bowl. You'd be ready to watch Dragon Ball Z or whatever you were trying to watch, right? We did not sit down to watch Magic Pen by Whammo. We did not sit down and watch the commercials. We sat down to watch our shows, and when the commercials came, we left to go get some more cereal. But for some reason, we want to post commercials on our Instagram and expect people to flock to our page to be like, oh, this is the best music I ever heard. No, we have it backwards. At the end of the day, social media is a media platform. In the same way, television is a media platform, radio is a media platform. These are ways to disseminate information at scale. But the beautiful thing about what's happened recently is that TV and radio used to be controlled by like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 companies. You could count them on your hand. But now media is controlled by us. We can create whatever type of media to entertain the masses and disseminate information throughout not just our country, but the entire world. But Brendan Kane, I'm not sure if you've heard of him. He's somebody that's kind of in the same vein as me. He does social media strategy, but he's been doing it for 20 years. And he says that people think that because we have these smartphones in our pocket, we think it's easy to just grab people's attention, but it's not. It's a skill that has to be built over time. And although it's widely accessible, and we call it media has been democratized, meaning it's been in the hands of the people, it's been spread out between a bunch of people instead of through a select few. With that happening, there's a misconception that it's easy. It's not. You have to learn certain skill sets and stuff, which part of that is what I was just sharing with you guys today. Hook, retain, and reward. That's part of that. But all of that together, we have the power in our hands as independent artists and musicians or creatives to create a whole media platform and hold people's attention and to create a life we can only dream of. But we
Okay.
have to understand what the underlying principles are, not the tactics and the trends.
Yeah.
So what I've done over the past few years has been by accident because I didn't really understand what I was doing. But now I'm able to explain to you why that Foggy Raw video went so viral because I understand the underlying principles and I can point to it and be like, oh, this is definitely why. And then I can point to other stuff that we did and be like, that's why that didn't.
Mhm.
So long-winded answer, but I hope that answers your question.
No, absolutely. That was a great answer. That was a great answer. Yeah, and that's something that I think about a lot is that I love that the time we're in now, like it's a lot of power to the independent creatives because we can um, essentially go viral and like really build a fan base with free content with like so many different resources that we have. So within doing underground developmental, we've grown a very genuine community of artists and creatives who are really artistic and really love their art and kind of get turned off by how certain artists on social media and TikTok will make content that's um, generic or cringy or make them not want to post on there and be like a quote unquote like a TikTok artist, or they think they have to do like a dance in order to get some kind of virality or something. So
Hmm.
how how can you create content that's not something to where you're going to want to delete it later?
Yeah, I love this question. That's a great question. Three for three.
I try.
So I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a definitive answer to this, but I think I can share some anecdotes that will be helpful and encouraging because
Mm,
that's my goal right now to in answering this question. Because, and I'll tell you why that's the reason. Everyone's situation is different, and every person is different. So the type of content I make on the SBN Studios page might be very cringy to you because we're not the same person, and that's totally okay. What's important is that we're not trying to change the type of person or the type of, we'll say, messaging that you have as an artist. We're trying to change the way that it's packaged. And there are a lot of different ways to package your content that work effectively, which is the great news. Again, I'm taking from Brendan Kane. You guys should look him up. I learned a lot from him and a lot of other people, but recently I've been learning a lot from him. He has a free book online. You can get it. He's not paying me to say this. I just have gotten value from it. Um, and he says that there are 220 different formats that you can use to go viral. And it's growing as his team continues to research. And he says that to people to make sure that they're encouraged to know that there are a lot of different types of formats you can use to go viral. It's not to say you should try all 220 and use all 220, but there are way different ways to go viral that people are using every day, and you just have to find the one that works for you. So that's a very general answer to the question. For musicians specifically, there are a lot of different ways to create content, but I can guarantee you, if you have no hook in your video, nobody is listening to your verse, no matter how fire it is, I promise you. And some people think because some people post verses and they go viral that, oh, I just got to keep doing it until it works. No, your verse has to be absolutely crazy for it to go viral. If we're being honest, everybody's music is not there yet, and that's fine. But you don't have to wait until your music is there to start building an audience. The whole point is what story are we telling around your entire brand and this one piece of content? If you want to think of it as in movies, because all of us watch movies, you can think of your entire brand as the entire narrative of the movie. Think of each piece of content as a different scene in the entire movie. Each scene needs to take us to the progression of what your whole brand is. Where are we going as a brand? Where is this movie going? When you in the first 30 minutes of the movie, you should kind of understand how the movie is supposed to end or where it's going and what to expect at the end. That's what your brand needs to do. And then each scene takes us closer and closer to that. So as you're creating content, think about what scene is this content referring to and how in this scene can I rope somebody in to tell a sub story in there. So let me see if I can give a specific example. I was homeschooled until ninth grade. That's a fact. And I'll share a bad example of a piece of content that I've done for myself. And it worked better than the other stuff I was posting, but I'll share an example of how this could have performed better, and maybe I should try it just to give you guys definitive results. But I was homeschooled. I put a POV caption, what? Right? POV caption on the screen. And I said, POV homeschoolers figured out how to make music. And it was an iPhone video of me making the song, and then it cut to a video of me performing the song. So a short form piece of content with the lyrics on the screen. That did better than other pieces of content that I have posted of me just performing my song because there's context around that piece of content. It's not just me performing my song to the camera. I put a little clip on the front end just to give some context to people who have no idea who I am, no idea what my music is about, and don't care about who I am. Because, fact, people don't care about who you are. People don't care about your music until you give them a reason to.
Mm-hmm.
So adding that little piece on the beginning of why people should care about your music or who you are will make them want to listen. Now, this was not a great example because it doesn't tell an overall story of like why people should care about like homeschooling, music, and all that type of stuff. The song wasn't about homeschooling. It was just a way to get people to listen. And the natural question that comes up is like, oh, how does homeschool music sound like?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
Yeah.
that makes you want to listen to the verse. And you listen to the verse, you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. So that's one tangible thing that you guys can do.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what is going to make this person watch this video to the end. Even if you're going to post a performance clip, put something on the beginning that's going to make the question rise, oh, I got to see this to the end. How's this going to end? Whatever that is. If you cannot answer that question from the first 3 seconds of your video, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true as well, including like with my experience as well. Like definitely the piece of content that have hooks and give context and a reason to watch it rather than just like listen to my song or like watch this just cause is just creates people to scroll away. So actually hooking them into the content and like keeping them there is really essential. And I like the example of the film example of having like scenes as well because I could relate to you in a way that I've always liked being on camera as well because I've always made like short films and I've always like acted and stuff. So just having experience using the camera and like being on camera as well. Um, but that's why I also utilize a lot of like content pieces also, and it's always something that I've always thought about in terms of like shooting the content and like how many I can make as well. And something that I really love that I saw, which one of the first videos I saw from you was the um, video you made where you showed how you shoot different pieces of content in different areas in the same day, and you even like timed yourself. Can you let the community know a little bit about I think it's the four, you said it was a 4 for 4 rule?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I used the 4-4-4 formula, which is a mouthful. I don't know why I named it that. Uh, anyways, so that's a little bit separate, but I'll explain this process. And let me just make sure I understand the question. Are you asking for me to explain that process or explain the content principles behind that video?
Oh, yeah, to explain the process to artists who might not be good at being consistent or efficient with their content or even shooting it in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So this is something I developed because I realize people overthink content, and a lot of times we just need to learn how to take action to change our lives. That's at least how my life has been changed. Is like, what's the next action I can take without having to think too much? So this is gonna help you guys. This is how you shoot 15 videos in 15 minutes, and I timed myself. You can go to the page and see. I did it exactly in. I'm not gonna tell you. Go watch the video. But so you pull up to a location. You need a tripod and a phone. That's it. You don't need anything else. Just your tripod and your iPhone or Android. It doesn't matter. Put it on your tripod, set it up, and play your song from your phone and press the record button on your camera. Then walk to the other side of your camera and perform maybe 30 seconds of your song. While the song is still playing, run to your camera, pick it up, and just turn it 90 degrees. And then repeat the process. 30 more seconds of your song, and then run to your camera, pick it up, turn it 90 degrees, and then perform again until you do 4 different angles. So you have 4 performance videos like that. Now, I know this whole time I've been preaching against performance videos. Performance videos are not bad if you have context.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the process to shoot some of the content you're going to need to grow your account. If you're doing this, make sure you put hooks on them. That's the caveat. So if you do that in 4 different locations, that's 4 videos for 4 locations, which comes out to 16 videos. So you actually have an extra video on top. And I was able to do that in blank time. Go watch the video to see how long it actually took. But the theory is that you can shoot a video every minute, and it proved to be pretty helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a dope way to see how that can be done as well because I feel like you said, like the so many artists overthink the content and overthink what they can do with it as well. And yes, for sure, like having the hook and the context to it like kind of transforms the performance from just a performance to something that people can like connect with and like see the context behind as well. Um, so what's what would you say should artists do in terms of posting, in terms of um, uh, like schedule wise, like when, how often should artists post the content?
Yeah, consistency is not equal to frequency. Consistency means I'm going to show up at the same time every time. Frequency is I'm going to show up this amount of times within this time period. It might sound the same, key difference. If you're being so frequent with your posts that you can't be consistent, you are too frequent. Meaning, don't post so much that your posting is sporadic. You
Mm.
need to post on a regular schedule. I don't care what that schedule is. Pick one, stick to it, and you're going to get better. You're going to grow. As long as you're improving each video. I might tell someone you need to post every day. That person might be able to post every day and improve every video. The next person might be like, that's too much. There's no way that I'm going to be able to post, edit, record every day and post every day and keep that going. Pick the cadence that allows you to post as much as possible without breaking your schedule. For me right now, and it changes as well. For me on the SBN page, I was doing 3 videos a week, but then I realized those videos kind of suck, and I got better at making videos, following the hook, retain, and reward format. And now I do 1 video a week and get more views than I was when I was doing 3 videos a week.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a balance. There's no right answer. You have to figure out what cadence works the best for you to get the best quality as frequently as possible.
Hmm.
But don't sacrifice consistency for frequency.
Yeah. No, I agree 100% for sure. Um, in terms of working with different artists, what's been something that has been crucial in terms of transforming the artists and like helping them grow?
I think an openness to creating effective content. I think for those of you, and I'm going to speak directly to your community, if I may. For those of
Of
you
course.
who are hesitant to create content, I understand why you're hesitant because you don't want to look like a TikTok dancer or a trend follower. And I completely understand that and empathize with that. It is good to feel that because that means you're a unique artist with a unique identity and you want the world to understand that identity. We need more artists like that because there are a lot of microwave artists out here, a lot of microwave music making what everybody else wants to hear and we're tired of it. So this is actually a great time for people like you. But if you get caught behind not wanting to look like a certain artist or look a certain way, the people that need you will not find you if you're not fitting in the right format. Remember earlier, I said there's 220 different formats. So don't let that feel like you have to fit in a certain box. There's a lot of different boxes to choose from, but you have to pick a box that gives the people what they want, and you'll get what you want. but that doesn't mean you have to compromise who you are and your art. So the artists that I see do the best are the ones that don't compromise what they believe in and don't compromise their art. They just figure out what type of packaging their art needs to fit in to reach the right people. And you have to be open to that process because it oftentimes looks different than what you initially thought it would.
Yeah. Yeah, and it oftentimes isn't easier. Like as you said, take like 7 years or like years and years just to like figure out your what you want to do and like your style, your formula as well. So definitely just chipping at that process different a step every day for sure.
Yep.
Um, what when you what kind of so you make music videos. I checked out some of the work on the page of like the different music videos that you're doing as well. What's the motivation when you go into making some of the music videos? Like what's the thought process when you create with the artist?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now we can get to the creative. I feel like people will relate to this. I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. I'm done. I'm done pissing people off. Now let's talk the stuff that everybody can understand. So, just for context, before this, or still am a director. I direct music videos
Hmm.
and content. So I do both. So I understand the long form and the short form thing. And the process is pretty standard. You come up with an idea. I listen to the music and I figure out just what comes to me. I used to think really hard about how to come up with ideas, but I've learned to open myself up to the process and allow just the ideas to come to me instead of me feeling like I have to create them out of nothing. And I think that small and subtle shift helped me come up with better ideas because I
Hmm.
don't feel like I'm trying to force anything anymore. I just kind of accept the ideas that come to me. And in the beginning, it's a very information gathering phase. Rick Rubin in his book talks about different phases. There's the seed phase, experimentation phase. I'm getting these out of order, but basically it goes from a very chaotic, unorganized part of the spectrum to very concise, very figured out part of the spectrum. And opening myself up to this side has helped a lot. But overall, come up with ideas by listening to the music, write them all down, pick which ones resonate the most. Then I'll pull references. I'll go on Pinterest, Shot Deck, iCandy.com. iCandy has three N's. These are good resources to just find inspiration to visually describe what you have in words. I'll put that together in a treatment or a mood board, and then I'll send that to the artist. And they'll give their feedback and say, hey, I like this. Hey, I don't like this. And we'll go back and forth. Usually they like my ideas. So I guess I'm doing a good job. I don't
Hmm.
really have a lot of back and forth most times. But I'm always open to that process. I just like being collaborative because it's not just my video. It's also needs to represent their art well. So once we settle on the idea and pre-production, I have a producer as well that works with us and she procures resources and talent and all that stuff. So she'll find all the resources based on the creative part of the treatment. And then we'll set a date. We'll book all the locations and the talent, whatever we need to do. And in between that time, I'll put together a shot list. And I've just started to do, I don't know if you've heard of AMD,
Hmm.
Ari. I just met him yesterday. He was doing a talk and he talked about his process and he does a previs, which is basically an iPhone version of the final product to just see how all the shots fit together. That's something I'm going to start incorporating in my process before we even shoot the video, just to make sure I have all my ducks in a row and I know how the final product is going to come together. After that, we shoot on set. That's the most fun part, as long as we've done all the pre-production, which pre-production is usually the most lengthy part because I'm very detail oriented and I want to make sure when we get there on shoot day, everything is the way it needs to be. After we shoot, it goes into editing. I edit, color grade, do all the visual effects and stuff right now. Which visual effects, I don't do anything crazy. I definitely would have to outsource if we did some like lyrical lemonade type stuff,
Hmm.
which I haven't done yet. But return it to the artist. They'll give me some revisions and some feedback, and then I'll go back and re-edit some stuff, and then we end up with the final product.
That's dope. Yeah, I think that's really cool as well that you have a unique perspective because you have the perspective of a videographer as well as an artist also, and that's different creatives that we have in our community because it's not just musicians, we also have videographers and designers and different creatives in that way. What's some advice for aspiring videographers who are trying to make videography their career? Because a big thing that we try to implement at Underground Developmental is helping the artists make a career out of this. And like you said, you made a career out of your videography as well, which is something very substantial. You should be proud of that as well. So,
Thank you, man.
of course. Yeah, what's some advice you could give for like aspiring videographers?
Yeah, I'll tell a story actually about Foggy Raw
Mm.
and me and our relationship, just our business, like working relationship. We started working very early, but I messed up our relationship very early. And I'm thankful to God that it's good now, but I made a grave mistake early on, which I don't regret because it was what needed to happen at the time for me to learn. But what I'll say is don't always necessarily prioritize money over the relationship. You have to make that decision on, is this a relationship I can see myself having in the long term? And if so, it's okay to take a hit in the short term to have a long-term lucrative relationship with this person or this business that will bring both of us a lot of money, recognition, success in the future. Something I did very early on was just in an effort to make money and pay my bills, which I understand that's such a hard thing to deal with all the time. But I charge for like every little thing, like a revision, I charge a little bit of extra money for, or like if the shoot took a little bit extra, I'd be like, okay, that's going to be this on top. And you think that that's good business practice when you're first starting out, but it might work to your detriment as far as the relationship piece. And something I wish I would have prioritized more or just been a little bit more privy to early on was thinking about what my decisions now, how they affect the relationship in the long term. We're still good. He and I are great. We're working together. We're good. But that could have been even worse if I had really been super adamant about, nah, I need my extra $50 here, my extra $100, which in the grand scheme is not a lot, but something I think for a lot of videographers, I think is good to think about because a lot of us get screwed over in the beginning. I'm not saying be a doormat, don't get screwed over, but just be flexible when it comes to thinking about not just what you need right now, but think about how the decisions you make now affect the long term. Because a lot of the stuff that I have going on right now are based on relationships and people that recommended me for jobs after a great experience. And a lot of times that is much more valuable than money in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. Yeah, definitely making sure that yeah, that's what I feel like is difficult for a lot of creatives too, like taking those hits with not getting the things that you feel like you deserve and the funding and like the fruits of the labors from the effort for sure. Um, what's what's something that they can do in order to actually get clients? Would you like recommend them like working with making music videos with artists for free just to get themselves their name out there, or would you recommend like a different way?
Yeah. I always like to speak from my experience because I think there's a million different ways to do something, and I can't recommend like this is the best way for everybody. But I do think there are things that everybody can do to increase their chances. So what I'll say, first thing that popped in my head was if you're doing something for free, make sure it's an equal value exchange. Value doesn't necessarily have to come in terms of money. It could come in terms of you're doing something for me. Like maybe if you make music and you're a videographer, maybe that musician also makes beats and you guys can trade.
Hmm.
But the key thing in there is the relationship that's being built. Finding people that you can build with and again, not just think about the now, but think about the long term. How are these people going to help me get to my goals in the long term and how can I help them? A lot of times when you're first starting, that's a great way to kind of, if you don't have enough money to hire people or get stuff done, just find people that do it and just barter and trade services. That's something I still do now, actually, for things that I'm like trying to get started.
Yeah.
Um, so that's something that you can do in the beginning to find more clients and just get a portfolio going and some confidence. Because a lot of times when you're trying to break into a new space, you don't have the confidence. You might have the ability. You might objectively have the ability. You just might not subjectively believe in yourself.
Mm.
And a lot of times you need to do stuff at lower or no pay to build that confidence, which is totally fine. I did that in the beginning a lot. And it's something you can use to get your foot in the door. I'd say if you decide to go that route, just don't expect those people to pay you in the future or the near future because their expectation was, oh, I got you for free, and now you're asking for the same thing for money. What's going on? Unless you make it very clear before you start working, hey, I'll give you this first shoot free. Everything after this is going to be X amount of dollars. So that way there's no hard feelings in the beginning. So I think it's a great way to build your confidence, build your portfolio, and to build your network of people in the beginning. But after you have some stuff, some work under your belt, start charging.
Mm.
And if people aren't paying you for your stuff, then either they don't understand your value or they are not the target audience for you.
Absolutely.
And when I say value, they don't understand your value. Either they just don't understand it or you're not doing a good job of communicating it. I had to learn how to do that last year. Sales helped a lot, learning sales. If you can learn sales, that'll help you a lot.
Why does that help you?
Sales for me, I used to think sales was I'm going to force you to buy my thing.
Hmm.
And everyone hates car salesmen because they're very pushy, That's kind of
Hmm.
their stereotype. Or just salespeople in general, like a sales bro. I'm sure if you look up sales bro on TikTok, that's a lot of the skit type of content that's being made.
Hmm.
But a misconception that got broken for me is that successful sales is selfless. I'm only going to sell this thing to you if I truly believe it'll be helpful to you. And how do I learn whether this thing is helpful to you or not? I ask you questions about what your goals are, what's stopping you from getting there, and if what I have the skill set to do can help get rid of that barrier to help you get to your goal. So learning how to do that process and not just learning, but actually doing it and getting my reps in has been incredibly helpful for me jumping my revenue in the last couple years and building really solid relationships with people. And if a videographer can clearly understand the person in front of them, what their problems are, and communicate to them how their skill set can help alleviate that problem to help them reach their goal, that videographer is going to become a business owner and a CEO and not just a videographer. And if
Hmm.
people in your audience are trying to go from, yeah, I mean, people just kind of hit me up here and there to record, some little video, second shoot for a wedding or to shoot for their new brand or to do this video for their t-shirt brand, to go to, I'm commanding high prices. You have to learn how to sell. And I'll say you have to learn how to ask damn good questions about people's problems and fit your product into a solution to their problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's really powerful as well. Like, yeah, because I think a lot of people get caught up with just trying to force certain things onto people and don't even think like let me ask them what they need, what they could benefit from, and like put that service within that can make them a lot more happy with the service, and then entail like pay for more because it's more than just a video to them, and if you make it that way. So
Yeah.
um, I don't want to hold you for too long. I just had one more question for you. So in terms of the development of artists, a big thing that artists want to have, specifically music artists, is the big fan base, the core fan base who are going to be diehard, come to all their shows, buy all their tickets, buy all their merch, really connect with them in a very strong way, but don't know how to go about doing that, don't know how to connect with people while people are making the content and are trying to build their fan base, what's something that they can think about in terms of what they're doing in order to attract the right people to their piece of art?
What a great last question.
Thank you.
What is something that artists who don't have a fan base nobody knows who they are.
Hmm.
They might have some friends and family that like their stuff. Can do to find their ideal fan base, their cult fan base, their diehard fan base, their Taylor Swift fan base, their Tyler fan base.
Hmm.
That's the question?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as I've learned, the best way to do that is to take the thing that you are most afraid of people knowing and to figure out how to tell a story around that that relates to other people that feel that same way. That's the action that you can do, or an action that you can do. What is the truth or the principle behind that? It's cliche, but be yourself. I didn't want to say that first because everyone's like, okay, everybody says that. Every successful artist says that, but that doesn't give me anything to do. So I started with the action.
Hmm.
How did I do this? I talked about my homeschool stuff on my music page. I'm going to let you guys in and I'm going to practice or I'm going to lead by example by doing it right now. So I told you that I've been homeschooled, but what's underneath that is I've always been ashamed that I've been homeschooled, if I'm being completely honest. I've always felt that other people were way cooler than me because they went to school, they could listen to certain types of music. I grew up in a Christian household and I was homeschooled. So it was very, very strict. So I knew of what was happening in the world, like what people were watching, what people were listening to. I just knew I couldn't watch it. I felt like Squidward in that meme where he's outside or inside the house and looking at SpongeBob and Patrick downstairs. That was me my entire life. And I felt like I was missing out on what real living was, you know? So I always felt like I had to overcompensate and to do the right thing, to be the best I could be, to get people to like me. Like I couldn't just be me. I had to be extra to get people to give me attention and to love me, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So being homeschooled represents that entire identity to me in that part of my life. And getting vulnerable about that on my page I didn't tell that whole story. I just said POV, the homeschooler figured out how to make music. And that's one of the best performing videos on my music page because I took the thing that I was so afraid of telling people about, figured out how to tell a story or a narrative around it, context, and link that up to my music. So
Hmm.
if you can do that as an artist, you will have, I promise you, you will command the masses because you are speaking these people's language and you're giving them a soundtrack to the things that they're afraid to talk about. So the better that people can tell their story, the more likely it is for people to relate to you as a person. And
Absolutely.
content is the vehicle that you use to tell that story, which is why it is so important for you to get serious about hooking, retaining, and rewarding people with your story as an artist.
Absolutely. I think this was super valuable. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to speak with me and to speak to the community as well. Can you just give a plug about yourself and like where we can find you and just a little plug on yourself?
Absolutely. You can find me anywhere, SBN Studios.co. That is our tag everywhere. And something that would be immediately helpful to you guys. If you hate editing, I hate editing, and I'm a director. I hate it. It's so tedious. But I put together a course last week. It's a mini course. It's $49, and it's going to teach you everything you need to know about how to edit your performance content after it's done. So, like, you did the whole thing that I said earlier. Record, turn 90 degrees, record, turn 90 degrees. You got all these videos in your camera roll collecting dust, and you have no idea what to do with them. This mini course is meant to take those to a final product that you can post on your page and feel good about. It's 49 bucks, and the first episode, or not the first episode, one of my favorite episodes in there is for free. I just posted the whole thing for free. So I don't know if I can send you a link for people to go to that,
Hell
but if
yeah,
you
we
go
could
to the
tag it.
first link, okay, bet. So it'll be in whatever description you guys have. And it's also the link in our bio, the first link in our bio on our Instagram. If you like what you see, buy the course. Nobody's bought it yet, to be completely honest, because I haven't pushed it enough. So this is my effort to do that. But I really believe in what's on there, and it's super high value. You guys will see that from the free lesson on there. So other than that, send me a DM. If you guys have questions, I answer all the DMs. So if you want to ask specific questions about your career, we'd love to help. SBNstudios.co, everywhere.
Hell yeah. Yo, thank you so much once again. I appreciate it. Definitely want to stay in contact for sure. And I appreciate it once more. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course, bro. Peace. All right, everybody. That right there. Hold on, I'm gonna get this out of here. All right, everybody. That was Nehemiah with SBN Studios. They're based out of Atlanta as well. That's where we were on Zoom call. So yeah, no, definitely thought that was a really great conversation as well. We got into a lot of different dope topics and conversations, and that was really cool because I used to watch, well, I still do watch the content that he creates, and now get to ask like directly personal questions and stuff like that. And I would love for you guys in the community, if you're watching, to take account for the things that he was speaking about and take the advice for yourself and try to implement it with your own career as well, because the main point of underground developmental is help the artists develop and to help the underground artists develop into big artists and develop into artists who have careers from this. And that's somebody who's made a career out of their artistry. So definitely take the advice in terms of the content creation, in terms of the understanding who you're trying to push the music to and connect the music to as well. And just understanding, just you need to be consistent and ongoing in order to really build your own brand and build your own business out of this. So yes, I wanted to really encourage you guys to do that, because this could be, your career could be something so significant within so much of, within just implementing the right things that you need to actually grow. So fucking love that conversation. Amazing conversation. But yes, so I'm going to be doing more of these raw live stream interviews with different people who teach artists how to grow their career, people who teach artists how to grow and just make a business and make a like a career and a living out of their art and out of their passion. So if you guys want, whoever you guys want me to talk to, make sure y'all tag them on Instagram, so that we can try to, tell them that we want to talk to them. Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for being a part. I hope you guys gained value out of that. There's so much value. I gained value out of that. I gained value for sure. And I hope you guys gain value as well. I'm going to see you guys on the next UD Raw live stream this Sunday. Make sure y'all pull up to UD 38. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. We actually have really big announcements for it soon as well. So make sure that y'all participate and come through and enjoy. Thank you guys so much. I will catch you next time on the UD Raw live stream. Bye bye.